Lights, camera, action. This is GVNNaija top 10 movies of 2022. I have missed doing this. Let's rock. Yo, what's up? I know it's been a while. I have missed it too, but you know, life and all that good stuff. And now let's get right to it. This is our top 10 for 2022, the movies category. Hopefully, you guys will also get to see the anime category and the series category. I'm on the fence whether I should do the one for animations or just mention animations as a sort of shout out, special shout out in the anime one. But this one is the movie one, and let's go. Number 10 on the list is Prey. Prey, I think, also has another name, Skull, at the time when it was released. You know what's funny about when I review things is I might remember for like the first couple of days and even the month, but later on it's just details. But if you want to give the full gist, or if you want to know the full gist, there is a link right up there in the description because it's one of the movies we actually reviewed on the channel. But it's very nice. The premise is simple. It is a Predator movie, but then set in the past, and it just boils down to the same thing that has always worked for the Predator franchise. It's not just about the tech or the muscles or whatever it is. It's about brains over bronze. That's bronze. You know. So yeah, and that was the case in this particular situation because our antagonist is a lady, but then irrespective of her gender, you know, a lot of people saw her as weak, right? But irrespective of that, she was able to actually take out a predator that took out tens of men, no, dozens of men, and she did just such an amazing job, and I really love it, and it turns itself in number 10 spot on our list. Next at number 9 is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now I know a lot of people are split on this. MCU Phase 4 as a whole has been a mess, to be honest. I mean, that's to say the least. A lot of things, especially with the series, have just been all over the place. But then with the movies, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was not what we expected. But personally, I liked it, and I liked the actions. Yes, there were a couple of plot holes, and the CGI, I mean, a lot of that has been plaguing the MCU, right? But outside that, yes, you have to set these aside, right? Outside that, the story was still kind of decent because I did enjoy it, especially, you know, the parts where Doctor Strange himself was asked, "Are you happy?" You know, it was all about being content with whatever situation you found yourself in, and I really did enjoy that. So I don't know if you guys did, but I know I did, and that's why it earned itself the number 9 spot. We also reviewed that up here. A lot of these movies that we'll be talking about on the list, a couple of them have been reviewed. So when you just click up there, you'll see the list of movies. But yeah, Doctor Strange, number 9. Let's go to number 8. Number 8 on this list is actually one that got released some days ago, 23rd of December on Netflix. I mean, it's been out for a couple of months in the cinemas, but Netflix, 23rd of December, and it's right now on Netflix too. They're not deleting their content, unlike some people, no offense, but HBO, I mean, content being deleted. Before reviewing this one, or before doing this particular video, I saw the news that Westworld has also been removed from HBO. I mean, hey, I won't miss Westworld. I absolutely skipped season 3, season 4 rather. But then it's just kind of like a shame that if you loved something and you want to go back to the platform, you can. Or you can't rather. But in this case, you can. It's on the platform Glass Onion. Now, Glass Onion continues with the Knives Out story. In the past couple of months that we've been unable to do videos, I've been doing posts where you see the score. I put stuff there on what I think about it, and I did that some days ago for Glass Onion. So even if you cannot click up here for that particular review, you can check the channel out on Instagram, even here on YouTube. You're going to see something on Glass Onion. Glass Onion, the summary of it all is it continues with the story of Benoit Blanc. He's a detective who solved the mystery, the murder mystery in part 1. That's the original Knives Out. And now he's here again, he's back again in a Knives Out story, but this time it's Glass Onion. And the best thing about Knives Out is the stories revolve around the detective Benoit Blanc, which means you can actually watch Glass Onion first before you even watch the original Knives Out that got released 2 years ago, I think, or 2 years ago on Netflix. And if I'm going to give you a watching recommendation, I'll say watch Glass Onion first, then watch the first Knives Out movie, because I think for me, I prefer that first one to this one. So at least watch this one, get out of the way. It does not mean it sucks by any means, no. But then I think the first one is a much better story. And that's it. It's actually the number 8 spot on this list. Now moving on number 7 we have Death on the Nile. So Death on the Nile is a whodunit, like much like Glass Onion, the Knives Out mystery movie. It's a whodunit, and this time it follows our detective, the master detective Hercule Poirot. You know, it's interesting. This is kind of stuff that it would be nice if the universes were kind of like connected in a way, maybe like a multiverse of madness. No, but imagine the two of them, that Benoit Blanc and Hercule Poirot, had to solve a mystery. You know, them bouncing ideas off each other. It might be nice. Like initially, maybe being the intellectuals that they are, I don't think they'll see each other as competitors. I think they will just like having a similar mind to bounce these ideas off. Because I remember in Glass Onion, Benoit Blanc was bored. He was bored by all these kind of puzzle games, and he really wanted a challenge. So I think this one too might be really fun. So yeah, Death on the Nile, it was so much fun. It earns itself a number 7 spot on this list, and it's one that I definitely recommend to you guys. Moving on, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. This is the second part, and I was one of the people who was of the idea that Chadwick Boseman should be recasted, right? Because as much as he did such a great job embodying the character on the big screen, the Black Panther character is bigger than Chadwick Boseman. I know it might sound like a slight to him, and trust me, I have nothing but maximum respect for him. People that know him personally know I really like the guy. But then I just felt like it should have been recasted. But I like the direction they went with this one, because even though I know chances are it will be recasted in the future, I think it's too soon. So the way they did it, tying his real life death into this movie, I think that was the better move. One of the moves that I would say is not the better move, and that's why I keep saying the MCU is not the 616 universe, is the Talokans. Namor, there is no Talokan, is Atlantis, you know. But then when they start renaming, at least before in the past, we'll say maybe it was a rights issue, right, between calling characters mutants before they get sued. That's the MCU. But now Disney bought Fox and Disney bought Marvel. So what's the problem? Why wasn't he called Aquaman from Atlantis? But outside that, the movie had a very decent story, and we got to see Riri. I like Riri. We got to see Shuri shine a bit more. Overall, it was a very good movie, and definitely better than Multiverse of Madness. And it was touching for the most part. It's a movie that you will watch and you won't feel like you wasted time watching it. So yeah, it earns itself the number 6 spot on this list. Number 5 on this list is Avatar 2, The Way of Water. You know, it's interesting that Avatar, The Last Airbender, had to change their name properly because of naming rights that they had with James Cameron, and they copyrighted the name and blah blah blah. And now we have Way of Water. And the funny thing is, you know, if you know anything about Avatar and airbending, you know that there's also water bending involved, right? So there was this funny tweet that I saw online about I think one of the writers, where he said if the third part is called The Way of Fire or something like that, they'll riot. But then the thing about the Avatar universe is this: it's James Cameron personally. So for those of you that might not know, is like a social activist, like a climate activist, right? So if you remember the premise of Avatar 1 in any way, I mean, this movie came out in, I think 2008, right? So, but then there was one major thing about it. It was mostly about keeping nature. Because if you remember when Jake had the fight, when he had to fight with the Na'vi people and was speaking to Gaia, Mother Earth, you know, he said, these guys are here for your resources. Let me show you what they've done with my world. And this is why we need your help, because they will do exactly what they've done to my world, which is Earth, to your world. And yeah, Mother Gaia was like, nah bitch, that's not gonna happen here. And then, you know, all the animals came and they won. And this time it's more about water. So it was forests part 1, water part 2. So I'm thinking, where would the third part be? What are we talking about? Maybe some form of climate change type thing, I don't know. But we'll find out next year, because that's 2023. Because unlike the long gap between the first and second, at least reports indicates that James Cameron is doing both simultaneously, or has done both simultaneously. So maybe it's just finishing on part 3. So part 3 will most likely be out in 2023, but we'll see how that goes. But then the movie overall, see, technically it's definitely going to be great, and it's a dope movie. The story, yes, if you say you want to break down any story into the bits, you'll be able to, you know, break down every story. But then it's in the way a story is presented, I think that is also the beauty of a movie, of a story, and I mean, James Cameron just does it so well. The Navy have their encyclopedia, they have their worlds, they have all of that. I mean, Jake is much older right now with Nate Siri, they have their family, but then talking about the whole family and the whole water life and all that, it's just such a beautiful story that you will definitely come back with something from the movie. You're not going to feel like you wasted your time, wasted your life. And speaking of time, it's a very long movie, it's 3 hours plus, so be ready to spend more time, because at the time of recording this, the movie is still in the cinema. So whenever you are going there, just know that you're going to spend like 3 hours of your life watching this thing, so be ready. Moving on, The Batman, Pattinson, that's Robert Pattinson's Batman. What do I have to say about this movie? It was a good movie overall. We did review it up here. It was a very, very, very nice movie. It did serve as kind of like another origin story, but it wasn't too heavy on the origin, more on the story really. We did not get as much action, but see, the parts where we got action, it was action that we were happy to get. It was one that kind of, let's say, rewarded us for sticking with it. And it's not like sticking with the movie was one that was a chore. No, it wasn't a chore. I mean, of course, there were 1 or 2 gaps left and right, but overall, it was a very, 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 very fun movie to watch. And there's a lot of stuff happening with Warner Brothers and DC and cancellations. I mean, Henry Cavill. When I saw Shazam in the cinemas, I was pleased to see that Henry Cavill is back, and then now he's no longer back, and now he has left The Witcher, and it feels like Henry Cavill was shafted by DC. But I mean, maybe they'll pay him some money underneath, and whatever the case is, The Batman was a nice movie. Now there are rumors that there might be a second part. I just pray the DC cost does not affect this movie, because it was such a good movie to watch. It's one that I'll happily watch again another day, and it earns it the number 4 spot on this list. Number 3 on the list is The Gray Man. Now, The Gray Man, we also reviewed on the channel. I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's up here. But then it was just such a fun movie. I really enjoyed it. I mean, Chris Evans playing the antagonist also did a very good job as the antagonist. Like, it was just so much fun to watch, really. If you haven't seen The Gray Man, what are you waiting for? The Russo brothers, they did an amazing job. I remember reviewing a movie earlier when I talked about how badly those guys used the FPV drone, but in this movie the FPV drone was used and it was done really well. Again, I'm not going to talk too much about it. The review is right up here, but it was a really good movie, and it turns its number 3 spot on this list, The Gray Man on Netflix. Number 2 on the list. Now we are getting to the end, and I'm really excited because I think the last 4 movies that I put on this list, it was kind of like a toss-up to see which one would be overall. So you could even interchange them, and it's not going to be all that bad, but I am saying it right now. This is what I have gone with for the channel. This is what we are doing on the channel. So number 2 on this list is Bullet Train. Now, Bullet Train, what can I say about Bullet Train? Really, the review is also up here. Bullet Train was just so much fun to watch. I enjoyed myself watching Bullet Train. Sweet action comedy, the different assassins with their backstories, the story on the train, the people coming in, going out. Everything about Bullet Train was just so much fun. Like, I really, really did enjoy it. If you have something against the movie, please sound up in the comment section, because I don't think there was anything that could make that movie not earn its number 2 spot on this list. I really had a fun time watching it, and if I'm to do it again, I will happily do it again. And it does not even need to be so far away in the future. Like, after this review, I can watch Bullet Train again, and I know I will have a good time. That's just how much fun Bullet Train was, will continue to be. Yeah, so that's number 2 on this list, Bullet Train. Now, finally, the king, at least our number 1 movie for this year. Fun fact, before I get to that movie, there's a movie that I reviewed earlier this year titled Coda, right? For a moment, I was confused. I thought Coda was a 2022 movie, but it's a 2021 movie, because truth be told, Coda would have won number 1 on this list for us. Like, I love Coda so much that it would have been my number 1 movie of 2022. So I know we did not do this last year, but then for 2021, Coda was definitely number 1 movie. But now for this year, our 2022 number 1 movie on GVNNaija is Top Gun Maverick. Now, review is also up here, but I remember seeing it in the cinema, and I just enjoyed it. Yes, I know there were plot holes, and what's funny about this is I remember I scored it a 9/10, and I remember the reason why I removed the 1, or maybe a 9.5. The reason why I removed a score from it was because did not give a face to the enemy. They did not mention a country. They did not mention. They deliberately avoided naming names, right? But then, minus that nitpicking, it was just such a fun movie. See, the aim of movies, while there are movies that have different purposes, right? When you have a blockbuster, an action movie, right, it needs to have like a very solid plot and also just deliver the action. And Top Gun Maverick did that. See, it's been a long time, and it's before that movie that I actually went to the cinema and I enjoyed this, because I'm someone who I think, I don't know if you're with me on this one, but I think cinema screens are not bright enough, really. But then I just really enjoyed this movie so much. It was so much fun. Like, it's still in my memory. I still remember two of the major songs from the movie. Hold My Hand by Lady Gaga. So now, and then the other one, I ain't worried about a nightmare. So yeah, that I think that's by One Republic. I don't know what you've been told, something like that. But then those two songs, as I was talking about the movie, they were playing back in my head because I had them on a loop after I Shazammed and I added to my music library. Everything about this movie I really loved. I mean, Tom Cruise still doing his own stunts and all that. Yes, it's fun and all that, right? But and I mean, they flew real jets and all of that. But see, every single thing about this movie just felt so right to me. And for us on this channel, it's our number one movie. Top Gun Maverick, number one. King of 2022. And that's it for this video. I've really missed doing this and I'm happy to be back. Well, kind of back-ish, because I mean, life and all the other things. But then Imai is back there, and I remember before we started shooting, I told him just how much I've missed this, because once we get into the groove, we just get in the groove, and he's also missed this too. So this has been a lot of fun. This list, this compilation. Is there any movie that I left off the list, or maybe that I've never watched at all, that you could recommend to me? You know, let us know what you are watching, or what you want to watch, or what you want us to review. Maybe you just want to torture me by having me watch it. Maybe the range is not enough, because I know this year happened to be a good year. Well, last year into this year happened to be a good year for South Korean movies, and I know I did not mention any on this one. All of them are US movies, right? Is there a South Korean movie or any movie from any other country, even Hollywood, right, that you feel deserves to be on this list? Because I remember we did Anukulako and Blood Sisters, but Anukulako is a movie, Blood Sisters is a series. So maybe to appear in our series movie or in our series review, well, I mean, stick around to find out. But yeah, that's it for this video. It's gone on long enough. It was supposed to be a very short video. And this is tech for GVNNaija. If you enjoyed this in any way, or you just want to keep supporting the channel, or you have anything to say, tell me in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Man, it feels good to see all of those things. It's been tech for GVNNaija. Live long and prosper.